Thank you, everybody, for being here today for this very, very important training and prep for our 2026 Lobby Day. Love to see folks from all across the state here to join us. That means we're going to cover a lot of legislative offices on Cinco de Mayo. Our Lobby Day is this year, May 5th. Last year, those that joined us, you know that we touched over, well, actually exactly 100 legislative offices in Sacramento virtually last year during our Lobby Day, which was a great success. We had really good responses from offices. We picked up co-sponsors for our bill, for our resolution, and we hope to do the same thing this year. Just a quick overview of today's forum. We're going to start with a Lobby 101 review. So for those that have never done a lobby day before, there's some really important information here that we hope you can take back and apply when you go talk to your legislators. For those that have done this before, some have done this for years, some have done this for decades. I think it's still a good refresher to keep us on our toes and make sure that we're, hitting all the points in our lobby visits. Because the way that we present ourselves to the legislators or their staff as CARA reflects on the organization, right? If we're prepared, if we're educated on the issues, then we come off gaining political capital, meaning we're stronger than when we went into the office. If we come in unprepared and we're obviously winging it, that gets talked about, and that can help us lose political capital as an organization. Thankfully, because of you all, CARA has a really, really good reputation. And that reputation is one of those tools that allows us to punch well above our weight level as an organization. So, no doubt, this will be another successful one. With all that being said, just want to remind folks that CARA operates off the kindness of donations like folks like you. So I'm just going to drop a quick link into the chat. If you're able to, any bit helps to keep us in the fight because we are truly, a nonprofit organization that fights for seniors and people with disabilities, and we want to keep up that fight. So please consider donating to CARA today. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen. Welcome to Lobby 101. Lobbying is sometimes has a negative connotation. In the media, it's kind of spun as, a guy with a suitcase full of money and he hands it to a legislator and the legislator votes favorably on their legislation. Although, unfortunately, that does take place in our government. Lobbying is not inherently a bad thing. Lobbying is people talking to their legislators about issues they care about to help influence a positive decision being made. So don't think being a lobbyist is anything negative. You're doing one of the most patriotic things that an American can do. So I want to just start with expanding our political influence through lobby visits. I mentioned earlier that we have a great reputation, and that reputation leads us to have influence. Influence can help us build power by making the outcome something that we have created a vision for. We're going to skip the introductions. This is normally what we would go through, but we've got a really, really large group today. So if you have lobby experience before, go ahead and throw it in the chat and share those experiences with other people, because some people have lobbied at the local level, some at the state, some national. I've done all three. In fact, I had one instance where I got to internationally lobby, which was kind of different when in Taiwan. But each level has its own unique quirks, its unique nuance. State lobbying I've found to be pretty productive. We have a really good legislature that works pretty well with our organization, with our affiliates. And it's definitely, I would say, one of the more positive lobbying experiences, especially if it's your first time. Staff is usually friendly and cordial. Things can get intense once you get up to the national level, and even local lobbying can get spicy depending on the circumstances. But we should all have a good time. We want to make sure that we're prepping for the before, the during, and the after for the lobbying. So I'm going to go over some lobbying basics here. As I mentioned, we want to do our research because we want to go in there educated, and we want it to be very apparent that we're educated, that we've done research for ourselves and for the team, that we want to identify, what is our purpose for going into this meeting? Are we trying to get the legislator to oppose the bill that we're talking about? Are we going in to ask them to vote yes on the bill? Are we asking them to be a co-sponsor on the bill, right? We want to make sure we know what the goals and purposes are so that way we can formulate our clear asks. And the asks is, I would say, one of the most important parts of a lobby visit because you can come in with the most eloquent and educated speech about a bill. But if we're not asking them, will you vote for this? Then they may just, say thanks for visiting. We want to make sure that we're asking those questions, right? Will you vote against this bill? Will you vote for this bill? We also want to predict our outcomes. And this isn't going to be 100%, right? This is us as CAP members assessing what we know about the legislators, their voting history, and what we think is the outcome. This legislator has supported our bills, for a decade now. That might be a predicted outcome of a yes vote, or at least a positive reception to our legislation. Conversely, we're going into an office that has refused to meet with us for years, and for some reason they've taken a meeting with us this time. We can assume that it's probably not going to be an instant yes. It might need some massaging and some work, but we just kind of want to go in with some expectations. Want to create our agendas, right? We're all familiar with the organizing space here, so we want to make sure the agenda is clear. Introductions, who's going to talk about what, and who's going to be the nailer, right? The nailer is your closer, the person that does the asks. As I just mentioned, we want to allocate team roles, and this will be done within the local CATs. Y'all will figure out who's your facilitator, your storytellers, your nailer. And we want to understand that concept of political power, which I'll delve into in a little bit here. Now, during the meeting, we want to set the tone, let them know why we're here, what our intentions are. We want to share your stories. Okay. Now, this is one of the most powerful tools that we have in our toolkit here because anyone can go in with statistics and studies and say, look at what the research says. But those numbers can be refuted by people. Even if they're incorrect, they can still say, well, I don't trust the source, this and that. But when you come in with your story, you are the subject matter expert on your life experiences. You know what you've experienced, what you felt, and that cannot be refuted unless they want to straight up call you a liar, right? So our stories, especially when they're compelling and related to the legislation that we're talking about, are extremely powerful. Again, I'm going to repeat it, make those asks. We got to ask that question. No direct dealing. Some people may not know what this means, but you may have heard of like quid pro quo. We do not direct deal. That means saying, okay, Mr. Legislator, if you vote yes on our bill, then we'll have folks work to help you get reelected. We don't do that here. That's not good, and that's not how we operate. We also don't make promises, right? We don't say, okay, well, we'll do this. It's the same thing. Quid pro quo. We don't make promises to the legislator or their staff in exchange for anything. We will want to take notes on how the responses to the bills are. We'll probably, if we're talking to staff, get a lot of, well, okay, this sounds good. Let me talk to my boss about it. Or, we can't commit to anything yet. We want to, research this a little bit more. So it's important that you take little notes of things like that, because as we intake all the notes from all the legislative visits, we want to make sure that we are going over, the different ways to approach the follow-ups. After, we want to debrief the experience, want to make sure the ask was addressed, see if we got any new information out of the meeting. Is any more education needed, when we'd follow up with materials? How responsive or non-responsive were they? Were our predicted outcomes what we thought? Were they not? Why not? And then we want to fill out a report back form, which we'll get to everybody. A little more on political capital. This is a metaphor that we use in political theory to conceptualize, accumulating resources. Imagine a bunch of coins, right, that we get for doing things politically that make us look better, that build our power. If we, again, do something that makes CARA look bad or ignorant to something, then we're giving people our political coins here. So it's not literal. It's just a way for us to understand that politics has its own economy. And right now, we're in a good spot in that economy. Political power, when we want to build it, again, come prepared, come with a mandate. You want to be professional. have clearly defined and achievable asks, and plan for follow-up. If you're obviously winging it, you lose political power. Again, asking for favors or quid pro quo, not good. If we're unprofessional or rambling or we go off topic, those things are also bad because these staffers and legislators are extremely busy, and these meetings are going to be very tight, 15 minutes, at the minimum. So we want to make sure that we are being very clear with what our intentions are there. And then if we don't follow up or follow through, that also looks bad on us. So, what is the most powerful aspect of a lobby visit? Again, it's your voice and story because you're the expert, and we want to provide ideas for solutions and an opportunity for collaboration. We don't want to come in and just say, we got a problem. We want to say, here's the problem and here's the solution. If you vote this way, the problem can go away. Going over the roles really quickly, the facilitator, this is going to be like the lead. They do the intros and they manage the time, which is really, really important. Storytellers, again, you're our tools to get to where we need to be. And the nailer is the person that does the ask. And then your team recorder is going to report back on the form and take notes. Just a sample of, what an agenda could look like for your CAT. You could copy this or you could make your own. You do your intros, then you do the overview of each bill, you do your stories, do the asks, you close up, you thank them for being there, and then you debrief with the team afterwards. This is some intro to CARA's talking points. I won't go into this because y'all have the copies of this presentation. Again, you could say this word for word, or if you have your own, wording you want to use, please feel free. And then we want to wrap up. Facilitator is going to do this. Make sure they've responded to the asks, figure out what the follow-up is needed, any final comments, and then we want to thank them for their time. Even if they said no to our bills, we still want to thank them because they made the time for us to meet with them. All right. And that concludes our Lobby 101. We'll go ahead and pass it over to Daisy to talk about the actual bills we'll be talking about. Take it away, Daisy.
Thank you, Rob. Hi, everyone. My name is Daisy Oram. I'm here with Cara. I use she, her pronouns. I'm our legislative advocate and our Northern California organizer. So what I'm going to do is share with you all what we have on the docket for priority legislation. And after I go through all of the legislation, you all are free to ask me any questions. So the first is AB 1790. This is Assembly Bill 1790 by Assemblymember Connolly. And this is the title of it is Ending the Water's Edge Tax Loophole. So what this bill is doing is it's closing a corporate tax loophole. And by doing that, it would return $3 to $4 billion annually to California by closing this loophole. This revenue is going to be vital to protecting state programs like Medi-Cal and IHSS. And so that is really the importance of this bill, bringing in that revenue to save state programs that support seniors and people with disabilities. So, like folks mentioned before, that's the kind of story you're going to want to tell in relation to a bill like this. This bill is currently awaiting its committee hearing in Assembly Revenue and Taxation. The next bill we have is AB 2575. This is by Assemblymember Ortega. This is the Healthcare by Humans Act. So AB 2575 regulates the use of AI to ensure healthcare workers can exercise their clinical professional judgment and holds developers accountable for patient harm caused by AI tools. And I'll give you a brief example of a story on this. So in healthcare settings, AI can now tell your healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, etc., how to do their job. So, for example, you may be at the hospital and the AI is saying, hey, you need to discharge this patient. And a nurse goes in to check on the patient and they're unconscious. So AI can't tell, what someone's actual status is. They can only see what's, going through the system, what's on the computer. And so that is an example of something you can talk about. You can also mention, hey, I've been in the hospital before and I wouldn't want a computer telling my nurse how to do their job. This right now is in Assembly Privacy and Consumer Protection. It's already passed Assembly Health and Assembly Labor. And the last bill that we're encouraging folks to really go in depth on Lobby Day is Assembly Bill 1900, AB 1900 by Assemblymember CARA. And this is CalCare. I think most of you are familiar with this type of legislation, but A brief overview is this bill would set in motion a single-payer healthcare system in California for all residents, regardless of citizenship status. By streamlining payments and lowering per capita healthcare spending, CalCare guarantees quality healthcare, including long-term care without out-of-pocket costs. Maybe you have a story, maybe you've lived under a single-payer healthcare system before, and you can talk about that. You could also mention what a single-payer healthcare system would do for you. Maybe you'd be able to see all the doctors you want. Maybe you wouldn't have to worry about out-of-pocket costs anymore. Maybe, someone wouldn't have to worry about that stuff. So those are examples of types of stories that you could tell on this bill. Currently, this bill has not yet been assigned to a committee, so it's still just been introduced. A couple other bills I'll mention, but won't need to be gone in depth about during Lobby Day. The first is a resolution, AJR 25, Assembly Joint Resolution 25, by Assemblymember Bonta. So, AJR 25 urges Congress and the President to immediately restore and extend the Enhanced Affordable Care Act premium tax credits to reverse harmful premium increases, protect access to affordable health care, and ensure that families in California and across the nation are not forced to choose between medical care and basic necessities. This resolution has already gone all the way through the Assembly and is in the Senate right now awaiting its committee hearing. We're encouraging everyone on Lobby Day to just do a brief, like 1 or 2 sentence on this resolution. It may be a thank you to those in the Assembly who have already voted for it, and it may be a very brief urge to the senators to vote in support of it when it comes before them. And the last bill I'll mention, we won't need to talk about on Lobby Day. This is a bill we are priority opposing. AB 2443, Assembly Bill 2443 by Assemblymember McKinner. This was about ending the carrier of last resort obligation, maybe a topic you are also familiar with. So this was a proposal that would eliminate the mandate for telecom companies to provide universal home phone service in California and would potentially leave rural and low-income areas without reliable home phone or 911 service. So luckily, we have been working to oppose, these efforts for quite a while and got really ahead of this year. And so as a result of those efforts, the author has actually pulled this from committee, meaning essentially it's not moving forward at this time. We're continuing to monitor this issue, but because it's not a present issue or present bill at the time, it won't need to be included in our lobby day. And I'll now pass it off to our next speaker, Mark Victoria.
So as you all are well aware, Lobby Day is on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. I'll just be kind of covering, just logistics, lobbying 101. I think Rob's already covered most of that and just take some questions from you all. So just some of the logistics here. So we will be doing a, just similar to last year, at 8:30, we'll be doing a morning kickoff. And so I know that program and agenda is still being worked on. Please join us. We're hoping to have some legislators on there to just do a brief, quick conversation on their bill. But really, this is just, kind of a kickoff and a rah-rah to get us all excited about what we'll be doing for the day. We'll go ahead and I'm not going to say everybody, because depending on what cat you're in and depending on what team you're on, you may not have a meeting start at 9 o'clock. But the first meetings will be scheduled. We'll begin scheduling at 9 a.m. We'll go ahead and schedule those all the way through noon. We're hoping that everybody gets a lunch between 12 and 1 o'clock. And then most of the meetings will then again be scheduled between 1 and 4:45, which will be the final meeting of the day. I am trying to do either 15 to 30-minute meetings with the legislative staff or the legislators. And of course, that's depending on their schedule. I know that there was a lot of meetings back to back last year, and we had multiple people that were in meetings for almost what felt like 4 or 5 hours straight. So we're trying to make that a little bit lighter this year. And since we do have at least one more team member and potentially 3 more, I'm hoping that, we'll have a little bit more breathing room in between meetings coming up this next month. So dress code and the prep for Zoom. We're going to go ahead and try to do this real quick, which is
So
cute.
Quarantine. You said you both received the agreement, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Let me just lock the door, please. Just hold on.
No problem. Nice shorts. Nice shorts, Josiah.
Oh, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. This is embarrassing. Please forgive me.
It's no problem, Josiah. No problem at all.
Oh, with the shorts. That is hilarious.
We're using an
Coronavirus.
ironing board for
all right. Anyway, just I love that one for what is the new Zoom dress code, right? Business on top and in kind of pajama bottoms, I guess, or whatever it is folks are wearing these days on the bottom. So obviously, when we're looking for, the dress code for May 5th, we're hoping that everybody can either do a business casual with or without a California Alliance for Retired Americans t-shirt that I think many of you have. If you do have it, please wear it. If not, collared shirt, kind of whatever. And then if you're wearing shorts or pajama pants and you stand up, please just be aware of what comes on your screen. One of the things that we're going to ask everybody to do in the morning with their teams is just to do a tech check. So just making sure that the lighting is good where you're at. I know that a lot of times my lighting gets very dark, so I need to adjust my light here to make it a little bit brighter. I need to make sure that the sound is going to be okay. What background noises do you have? I live in the suburbs, and one of the bad things about the suburbs, depending on what day it is the amount of gardeners that I have. So constantly having to make sure that that noise isn't getting picked up. Please know how to mute and unmute yourself and how to use the chat box in case there is some kind of, back end communication with your team. And then, there's, I don't have it, but I know a lot of the team has a CARA logo that they go ahead and put right up in one of their upper corners. It may be good for you to have that as well. And then just make sure that you display, whatever your name is, go ahead and put, your full name. If you have a title with the organization, go ahead and do that. And then just put your city, the city that you live in. That way legislators know if you're one of their constituents. And then one of the things, and this is primarily for team leads to ensure, is just that we have some time management and that, we know how many minutes each person's going to be talking on each bill. And just to make sure that we don't run out of time and, all of a sudden we've got, 30 minutes. We've only talked about 2 bills. And we now have to just rush through the last few bills there. So just time management throughout the day. So for the lobbying training, the attendee packets will include your schedule. There'll be some talking points, the legislative fact sheets, and the team will decide in the morning of lobby day who's going to be talking about which bill, who's going to be doing the note taking, who will be doing the introductions. So, in your teams, and again, this is something that we're talking with staff, but also for your member leaders, to assign one person on the team to do at least one of the quality social media posts. So if somebody can take a screenshot, put it up onto, social media, whoever's the most active in your group. And I think there will maybe a hashtag that we'll ask you to put into that as well so that we can go ahead and track those meetings. So in the morning, briefing with your team leaders, review your meeting schedule and legislators for the day. We're obviously going through the bills and everybody has at least what bills will be on. So just make sure that you're comfortable with those bills. And again, you don't have to be an expert. Assign those roles as to who's going to do what in each of those teams, and then practice together where we can and run through the meetings. So in preparation, research the members who you'll be talking to. There is a folder that, the team can share with you that gives I went ahead to put together a bio for each of the members. So who they are, do they have a stance, a history on the issue? That may or may not be clear. What committees do they sit on? Have they already voted on this bill, or are they already a co-author for the bill? Know what you're going to say. Practice your talking points. To have a personal story, but instead of just a personal story, I think the other question is why do you care about this issue? Why is that important to you? Once again, logistics, just practice with your team. Dress professionally. Prepare yourself for the day of Zoom meetings. Get yourself a comfy seat. your water, your coffee, or whatever it is that you drink throughout the day. Lobbying, how to lobbying. I know Rob kind of went through this, but some of the key principles, just, lobbying is all about building those kind of relationships, even in a short meeting with folks that you may not normally have the ability to build a long-term relationship, but just being able to build a quick relationship with folks there in that room. So have a conversation. Don't feel like you've got to be doing a presentation, right? I think as a former staffer and a former lobbyist, I'm very comfortable with understanding that the folks that were coming in for lobby days weren't necessarily the policy experts, but they were there to help us understand just why this bill mattered, right? And trying to understand the story behind why these issues are important. So know what you want them to do in the short term, right? So if the bill, I know the bill, we're doing lobby day just after policy committee has to hear their bills, which is April 24th. That's the last day before they have to get out of their first policy committee and go over to the fiscal committee. So we'll be primarily lobbying for these bills on the floor of the assembly. So still very important that we, a lot of these legislators will not be able to hear from many of their constituents because, since we're not hitting them in the committee, it's really dependent on us to be able to spread the word to all those, assembly members and senators, so that when the bill gets to the floor, they've heard your voice and your concerns on their issues. So what are some of the goals? It's to convince a decision maker to support our position, to build credibility, access, and influence with the decision makers. We'll provide you with a one-pager and say we have experts who can answer the subject matter detailed questions, right? So there will be some leave-behinds that we'll provide to you. Don't ever say that, don't ever make up an answer to a question. Make sure that, if you don't know the answer, that is okay. It's most important for us to say, you know what, I don't know, but we'll get somebody that the answer to you. Educate decision makers about our programs and the organization. So one of the things that the team lead should do is just do a very quick and brief introduction of what CARA is and why it exists. And so when lobbying, you have three basic actions, which is one, to provide information, gather information. I think that's the most important for for your leadership team, but also to be able to kick it back to, the author, is to hear what some of the legislators are saying about that specific bill. And then basically just to share that with CARA as well. So, and we'll be sharing not only a Google Notes version, but also a hard copy of the type of notes that we're looking for from you and your lobbying reports. So once again, just kind of lobbying meeting breakdown, start with intros, getting to know each other, start with the framing of the conversation, then have each team member talk about their assigned bill and or priority, ask about legislative office's current priorities, take a group photo, share on social media, and then again, don't forget to take the notes and transcribe those into the Google form afterwards. That way we know what we need to follow up with. And again, if you don't know the answer to a question, that's okay. Respond by saying you're not sure, that somebody will follow up with them for an answer. And make sure you write that question into the Google form so one of your leadership members can follow up with you. So some of the level setting, right, is standing up for seniors, standing together. Today we come together as members of the California Alliance for Retired Americans, united by a shared commitment to justice, dignity, and the rights of older adults across our state. In the face of federal uncertainty, California must lead as federal programs like Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and Medicaid face renewed threats. California must remain a bulwark against those federal threats. We need policies rooted in reality. Our lived experience matters most. Decisions about older Californians must be based on the real needs we see every single day. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Water's Edge bill, I think, is so very important. It doesn't necessarily do one specific thing, but the tax exemptions that these corporations that are outside of the state that they're getting are huge, $3 to $4 billion every single year. And if we can get that back into the general fund, that is going to help many of the programs that we all depend on. And then, again, just investing in aging with dignity, right? And that's one of those things that, if the Water's Edge were to repeal, we have that to be able to fund many of the programs that we depend on.
All right, everyone, just wanted to say thank you to our speakers for being here today, to Mark and Daisy. Thanks for all of you for being here. Can't do this without you. We hope that you learned something. And if you're a pro at this, and I saw we had people that had multi-years, if not multi-decades of lobbying experience, I hope you got something out of it too. I'm going to post here just some quick things in the chat, some links that you might find helpful. As you're posting on social media on Lobby Day, we've got several of CARA's social media pages that if you hashtag, will show up on our pages as well. So we're going to set that up. But please, if you haven't subscribed yet to any of these and you do use social media, please sign up. I get that. We have some folks that are in our midst that don't use social media, and that's okay. I don't use it personally. I only use it for work. But if you do use it, please come on and join us on there and grow our subscriber counts. I'm also going to talk about our senior vote program, dropping a sign up link in right now. We are going to be engaging in some electoral work later this year, just as we do every 2 years. We're going to be getting started in September, but it's never too early to sign up. We're going to be working on, ballot initiatives. We're going to be working on some races. So please sign up early and get your folks and your cats signed up too, because we want to have the largest senior vote program that CARA has ever executed. Post again our donation link. Again, CARA runs off the fuel that is provided by you all. And we don't want to run out of gas. We're going real fast right now, and we're headed in the right direction. So please keep this machine fueled. We want to have CARA around forever, and we want to continue to grow our organization and grow the power that we have. Some people aren't signed up for our CARA alerts. This is CARA's monthly newsletter. Best way to stay informed. We talk about everything that we do essentially in these. So if you're not signed up, please do. And finally, I've been dropping this link throughout the forum today, but if you haven't signed up, there's the Lobby Day sign up form that it just got posted in the chat. I understand some people can't use the forms. So if you can't, just talk to your organizer and they can get you inputted, no problem. Same thing goes for the social media posting on Lobby Day. Again, I get that, some people don't use social media. So we can either coach you through that, help you out. If you don't know how to take a screenshot, same thing. We're going to have a staff person in every one of these lobby visit rooms. So we can back you up on that and teach you how to use hashtags and all that. And if you're not comfortable doing it, we can certainly, take the screenshots and post them straight onto our social medias. So with that all being said, I'm looking forward to a very productive and a busy but productive lobby day. It is Cinco de Mayo. I will ask that you keep the margaritas until after your lobby visits are done. You can have a little celebration at the end if you want. Just don't start too early. With all that being said, again, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for making CARA what it is and for helping us punch well above our weight class. We're going to have another heck of a lobby day. I'm really, really looking forward to it, everybody. Thanks again. Any questions, please talk to your organizer. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Cinco de Mayo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.